HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is food radio supported by you. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org. Welcome to the Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. This week we're going to talk about Bordeaux 2020. The Union des Grands Crus de Bordeaux was recently in New York with over 100 wineries pouring their new 2020 vintage. I got a chance to speak with 6 different wineries from different regions in Bordeaux, and the consensus is the 2020 vintage is excellent. The third in a trilogy of great vintages after 2018 and 19. This was a walk-around tasting with hundreds of people and wineries in Midtown Manhattan. It was a little noisy and frenetic, but the wineries were able to take some time to tell us about their wines and the vintage. We spoke to Chateau Bechevel in Saint-Julien, Chateau Coutet, the sweet wine from Barsac, Domaine des Chevaliers in Pessac-Léognan, Chateau Cantenac Brown in Margaux, Chateau La Gaffliere in Saint-Emilion, and Chateau Pichon Longueville Comtesse de Lalande in Pauillac. I'm your host, Sam Benrubi. Stay with us for the Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. I'm here with Erwin Lebrosé from Chateau Bechevel, which is a personal favorite of mine. I've drank many, many vintages. So Erwin, tell me about the 2020 vintage.
2020 vintage for us is a very great vintage.
Why?
We had perfect condition during the winter with a perfect, very low temperature to have a great rest for the vine, a great season for the flowering process, and after a magnificent Indian summer during harvest. And that's why we had in the glass this very great fruitness, freshness, a very nice balance. With some very crispy fruit, a very great ripe on the Cabernet Sauvignon, and that's why this variety breakdown for Bechevel is a little bit unusual, with a largest proportion of Cabernet Sauvignon, 51, for 45 Merlot, and 4 Petit Verdot.
So the three grapes.
Exactly.
So 18, 19, and 2020 were good vintages. Where does 2020 fit in there?
2020 is a little bit like the same profile than 18.
Okay.
It's a sunny year.
Sunny
year, yeah.
Okay. So talk to me about the characteristics of the wine because of that. You said the Cabernet was...
Cabernet with a perfect ripeness because first and after a great Merlot, the proximity with the river for Bechevel brings this very cool temperature, and that's why we can keep this very great balance for the Merlot. It's not too heavy, and we keep this very deep fruit. We have some very great note of black fruit, and I'm impressed by this 2020 Bechevel. because you can
I'm
feel
saying, I mean, this is all new to you too, right?
the black currants. The black currant flavor is incredible and arrive very quickly and with this very great intensity.
So one last thing. Some vintages are hard, some are easy, some are hard with great results, some are hard with okay results. What kind of vintage was this? Was it challenging? Was it relatively easy?
2020 was a very not easy because it's vintage. It's we do a lot of care about the viticulture and something like that, and we had some pressure for mildew in the spring.
Because of the early rain?
Exactly, but the management on the vineyard was very good, and the last treatment was in the beginning of July. It's a very good sign for the earth on the vineyard. And after, during the vinification, it was so easy to extract.
Well, good juice in the field makes vinification easy.
Exactly.
What kind of practices out in the vineyards? I mean, are you sustainable, organic? I mean,
We are not organic, but we want to avoid too much treatment and too much chemical because we want to build up the natural health of the vine. And for different points, first the health of the vine, about the financial. Less we treat, more is the best for us. And we. It's very important for us to respect the environment and the employees.
well, thank you, Erwin. I'm happy that I'm going to taste the wine when I shut this off. I'm happy that it was a good vintage. And thank you. All right, I'm here with Aileen Bally from Chateau Couttet, which is one of the great sweet wines of Bordeaux. Tell me about the 2020 vintage.
A beautiful vintage. We were very lucky because we were patient. So we took our time, and when the Betrice arrived, we had the right amount of team to be able to be reactive, but patience was an important part of a successful
Patience
harvest.
towards what? The weather, the changing conditions?
Absolutely. Yeah, we needed to have humidity, we needed to have the Betrice arrive to concentrate our grapes, to bring us all that beautiful complexity that you find in the sweet wines of Bordeaux.
It's funny, when you say concentrate grapes,
Yeah.
growers wait for that perfect moment. You have this later wait,
Yes.
for
Yeah, we need
botrytis.
Yeah, we need the maturity of the grape, and then we need the attack of the botrytis.
So,
Unripe, sorry, in English, the ripe grape. Yes.
so 20 was a good vintage, pretty good run. 18, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
How do you compare 20 to the three vintages?
I think for us at Couttet, you're going to find a lot of body. It's beautiful volume. You're going to have a very floral honey characteristic to it. And you always are going to have that Couttet finish that people who know Couttet have come to love, that vivid finish, that very long finish. Couttet comes from the word knife because we have a beautiful acidity that really cuts through the sweetness of the wines. So you're going to have a very ginger, fresh, long finish.
Is the taste profile characteristic you're talking about, is that typical of each year, or
Absolutely,
there was
yeah.
a nuance this year?
Well, I think the nuance for us, I think there's a bit more of this floral honey. That's what I pick up when I'm tasting the wine right now, where you always have that very clean, consistent, vivid finish. So typical Couttet in the style, but of course with the expression of the vintage, with a bit of a floral honey characteristic that I find a bit more prominent than usual. We tend to be more on the citrus characteristic. Here I see a bit more of a floral honey.
Nice. Now we stand here in a crowded room with all your friends, but we forget that this was the COVID vintage.
It was, yes. It was.
2020, September, you start pulling grapes off the vines. I mean, everything broke in the world in March. Obviously, you survived it.
Yes, we did. We're very lucky that at the estate, our team has been with us multiple generations, so there's a family feel, and everyone, we got through it. Yeah, we did every Friday. We had a barbecue for lunch.
Nice.
That was how we decided as a family. My uncle and I, we decided that throughout this whole period, we'd have barbecue every Friday as a team. So
Sort of family,
yes.
team building,
Yeah.
get together.
Outside, of course. We were outside.
Yeah. Well, you're not picking grapes indoor anyway. Who's barbecuing outside? Well, I want to taste the wine. I'll do that off air. Thank you for your time, and it sounds like the wine's great. So I'm talking to Hugo Bernard
from Domaine de
from
Chevalier.
Domaine Chevalier, which is a personal favorite, so it's emotional. So tell me about the 2020 vintage.
So 2020 was a warm vintage in the beginning with a very warm summer, but finally we had some rain in the beginning of September, so the whites are very fresh finally, and the red is the same thing. So it's very drinkable, very rich, so with a good start, but it's only 13.5 alcohol and with a very long aftertaste. It's a lovely vintage to keep, but also a lovely vintage to drink right now.
So 18, 19, and 20 were good vintages.
Yes.
So 20 compared to the other two.
18 is very warm, very rich. It's a very classic Bordeaux to age, so impossible to open a bottle right now. And 19 is quite different. It's a white vintage with a lovely acidity, very long aftertaste. So 19 is very fresh, very long. 18 is very rich, and 20 just in between.
So this was a COVID year, which we forget because we're in a big room with all our friends and everything. Was it a difficult vintage as far as?
It was an easy vintage, nothing to do with the cellar. The small difficulty of the vintage was the mildew in the end of May, because we had a lot of rain in the end of May. But after that, all was very easy, and nothing to do.
As far as the characteristics, would you say the alcohol was?
13.5,
Okay,
so it's not very high.
I've come across a wine or two that was over 15.
Yes, some white bank, because in white bank all the Merlot was very mature with very high alcohol, and in our fresh terroir in Pessac-Léognan, it's completely different. You have another balance of the Merlot. The Merlot in Pessac-Léognan are rich with no alcohol.
So I was going to say, Pessac-Léognan is an area of its own compared to the rest of the room. The character.
It's unique.
Right. And what else is unique is white wine is not unique in Bordeaux, but not everyone makes it. I mean, that's a very important aspect. Of what you do with delicious white wine.
We are the only appellation with a classification in white, because the Grave appellation with the Grave soil are very fresh, and it's why we are doing amazing whites in Pessac-Léognan. Because if you want to keep and to age whites, you need acidity, and to have acidity, you need a fresh terroir.
And Pessac-Léognan.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, Hugo, thank you for talking to us. I'm excited to try the wines, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you so much.
This episode is supported by HRN business member Cafe Panna. Cafe Panna is an Italian-inspired ice cream shop serving daily changing flavors of house-made pints, scoops, sundaes, and affogatos. Find Cafe Panna shops in various New York locations or order online at cafepanna.com for ice cream delivered right to your door. That's CAFFEPANNA.com. Our thanks to Cafe Panna for supporting HRN's creative, educational reporting and storytelling that drive conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place.
All right, I'm here with Pauline Fradden from
Continent Ground.
Continent Ground with the very distinct gold label and the chateau on it. So tell me about the 2020 vintage.
So actually for us, 2020 is quite unique because early 2020 we managed to increase significantly the size of the vineyard, and we purchased 11 hectares close to Chateau Margaux, and
2020, the first year.
Exactly.
So that's exciting.
Yes, and 70% of these new plots produce first wine.
Okay.
Since the first vintage, 70% produce first wine. So there is something more in terms of structure, tension, deepness, character into the
Because of all the changes?
This one, and also for the first time, we managed also to blend one big plot close to the chateau called L'Enclos. It's a plot of 20 years of Cabernet Sauvignon, but with the perfect subsoil, gravels, clay and limestone, outstanding plot. And for the first time, we managed to blend them into Continent Ground. So there is something much more
So tell me about the characteristics. When you 2018, 2019,
Yes.
2020, all pretty good vintages.
Yes.
Tell me about the characteristics of 2020.
Actually, it's a blend of the 18 and 19, but much deeper, much more tannic, much more concentrated, but in the same time, much more balanced, much more structured. And there's much more soul, in the 2020 compared to 18 and 19. 18 was like very round, very expressive, very modern, approachable, seductive, and it's like a too much vintage because there's.
Sounds pretty ideal.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And 19 was really serious, the tension, and the 20, it's these two, but with much more character. And our managing director, José Sanfin, he's also the winemaker of the chateau, and for him, it's his best vintage ever. It was before 22, but
So tell me about drinkability. Is there something when it comes to market, you could drink it young, or does it demand?
You can, because the great vintages in Bordeaux are approachable every time, from 2 years to 5, 10, 15, 16, even longer. But we advise people to wait 6, 7 years before enjoy it. But if you like the wine now, I'd say it's depends on your taste and how you like the wines actually. But we're gonna age a little bit.
Tell me a couple things. People drink a lot of Bordeaux. Most people realize they're from different, regions and all that. Margaux, which is a beautiful region.
It is.
Margaux is well.
It's the best one.
Of course, you're going to say that, and I don't disagree. But what are some of the things about Margaux that make it special?
I would say it's the largest appellation of the Medoc area, so it's probably the complex appellation in Bordeaux. Because among the 61 classified growths, we are 21 in Margaux.
Pretty good batting average.
Yes.
Like they say in baseball.
Yes, right? It is, and you can probably find what you like in Margaux, because even if we are in the same appellation, we don't have the same soil, the same terroir, the same subsoil, the same exposure, the same plantation, and when you have something very classical every year, it's good. Like Saint-Julien, Pauillac, you find the same style year after year. But in Margaux, you really have to figure it out what you love, and it's finding the jewel of the appellation, and it's really interesting appellation to really taste seriously each wine, to really have a deep.
This is quite the tasting to do that.
Yes.
I mean, everybody's here.
Yeah, because if you taste Saint-Julien, Pauillac, you can find the signature of the appellation. But in Margaux, it's quite of impossible because we are so many in Margaux, and so many people saying that it's a very feminine appellation, but we don't agree, because when you taste the wines, you feel that the character, the tension, the power of.
But that varies by winemakers too.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being feminine.
Of course.
I don't even look at it as feminine. Feminine's a bigger word than what we used to know it to be. It's all good. Tell me one last thing. We're in this huge room, side by side with all our winemaker friends, tasting like crazy. But when this wine was made, it was dead in the middle of COVID. Do you remember that far back?
Oh yeah.
Difficult times.
It was, and actually it was the lights in this nightmare, because we were locked down and we were working at the chateau, but we were not seeing anyone, and we knew at that moment that we had something very extraordinary, and we need to let people know that they're gonna have a huge vintage, and it was.
The last thing you needed during COVID was a crappy vintage.
Yeah, and in the 19 also.
Yeah.
And we had the 19 was the first vintage of COVID, because
Right.
for the
Goes
primer,
into the COVID
for the primer, and it was the lights in this very dark.
Glad to hear that. Well, Pauline, thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
insights on your wine
You're
and
welcome.
Margaux and everything.
Whenever you want.
Thanks. All right, I am at the Chateau La Gaffliere table. I am with Ethan from their importer, and Ethan's pouring their wine. This is a favorite of mine. So tell me about this vintage, 2020.
So 2020, fantastic vintage coming out of Saint-Emilion. Chateau de Gafflier is really in the district of Gafflier, which is more or less in the center of the old town right next to Chateau Pavie. 2020, great vintage, a little bit, great through and through, warm, but then at the end it cools off, so you
What
get
about
great
rain?
acidity.
Wasn't there rain sprinkled in there?
There was some rain sprinkled in there, but for the most part, I think we got all the grapes in and out in a fairly great fashion. And I think we'll see that there's a lot of power, a lot of finesse, and then that great acidity to sort of round it out and give it some great ageability.
So you have to go out there and sell 18, 19, 20, maybe some are sold through. Of those three vintages, tell me how the 20 fits in.
I think the 20 is still going to be quite austere and quite still on the younger side. The 18s are absolutely phenomenal right now. 18s absolutely gorgeous, really starting to show.
But did the 18s need time?
I think the 18s right now is drinking phenomenally.
But
I
when
think
they
it needs a
came
little
out-
bit more time than what
Okay.
you'll see in 2020. I
Okay,
think the
so
2020
the 2020s are going to require. So tell me some of the characteristics of this wine. It needs time, that's one thing.
Absolutely. I think with that increase this year, we have about 30% Cabernet Franc versus 25 in other vintages. And so
Okay.
that slight raise in Cabernet Franc, you get that really sort of, I think you'll get that really great perfume, the floral
The
aspect,
aromatics from the
aromatics, and really get a lot
Why
of that
did
rose.
they up that?
It's been a little bit in the typicity for Saint-Emilion Grand Cru to add a little bit increased Cabernet Franc. In some vintages, obviously, you'll see up even to 40.
So I've been talking to winemakers, owners, and all that. You're on the import side. All this stuff happened during COVID. We forgot that because we were in a crowded room without masks and all
Right.
that. How were things then? I mean, were you basically working from home? Restaurants were closed.
It was a scary time. Yes, there was a lot of staying at home, and I work a lot very closely with restaurants and fine wine stores, and obviously in many cases they were either closed or not seeing people. So there was a lot of interesting techniques of getting wine into people's glasses. So
Hopefully, we don't have to worry about that.
yeah, hopefully not.
Well, thanks, Ethan. Thanks for the intel.
Thank you,
from
sir.
The importer point of view.
Yeah, 2020 was a great vintage in terms of maturity. If we go back to the beginning, it was the pandemic. Remember, so April
Right.
was really sunny and dry. It helps the flowering. It helps the flowering a lot. So it was quite even because of the sunny and dry months of April. Then July, we remember having a lot of rainfall, so we had a lot of mildew pressure.
How do you treat mildew? You spray?
So yeah, we spray mostly copper. When you are in biodynamic, you can just use 3
So you are
kg per hectare.
biodynamic?
Yeah, we studied the biodynamic process.
Practice or certified?
Practice. It's
Okay.
not certified, but practice
Right.
from 2009. Just because the champagne house Roderer,
Right.
which is the same owner as Pichon Comtesse, they were studied the biodynamic process in 2005. So we've stolen the 2 consultants, Burgundian guys, and we copied the work process we did in Roderer, but we did the same at Pichon Comtesse. And then we will be certified organic, so fully organic, 100% by the vintage 2024. Started 2021. So 2020 is a great vintage of maturity with acidity. Maybe it's a good combination of exuberance that you can get in the 2018, but we have the acidity and the tension that you get in the 2019. So it's a 3 in a row, but 2020 is a fantastic balance between the 18 and the 19.
So you said the 20 higher acids on the 2020?
Sorry?
The acid.
Yeah, the acid, the pH is pH is 3.7, while the pH of the 18 was 3.85. So the pH is lower. It means that the acidity is much higher than the 18. So it's more a classic vintage in Bordeaux than the 18.
So we're talking in January of 2023. When will the wines be available to the market?
You mean the organic one or
The
fully organic wine?
no. When will your
The
wines-
2020 we bottled last July 2022, and the wine will start to arrive in the US market this month, I think.
Oh, as soon as February?
Yeah, February 2023.
All right. That was Florent Gentil
Yeah.
from Pichon Comtesse, Pichon Longueville. Thank you for talking to us, and good luck with the vintage.
Thank you very much.
If you have a question, suggestion, wine happening, or event, hit me up at samatthegrapenation.com. That's samatthegrapenation.com. Subscribe to the Grape Nation podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods. Leave a review if you like the podcast. Follow us on Instagram at @benrubi and on Twitter @benrubi. You can always find us on both by using the hashtag The Grape Nation. We are on Facebook @The Grape Nation. We'll post the list of wineries we spoke with on our social media sites. Thank you to all the wineries from Bordeaux for taking time to speak with us at a very busy tasting. Thank you to our engineer Armin and everyone at the Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sam Benrubi, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation. The Grape Nation is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.